Orchestration. So this is the new buzzword in artificial intelligence, and it's one that is worth paying attention to. Basically, I'm going to be looking at the progress from prompting to context engineering to orchestration. Now, orchestration is the new hotness because it is connected to agents and agentic systems, being able to work with AIs to build a system that will go off and do the work for you without you having to be there prompting it, providing context. Instead, creating an AI system that is going to go and do the work, report back to you or not, and self-improve over time. So this is the new hotness. This was the big marketing term back in 2025, but I think we saw in December 2025, this became a reality with OpenClaw. OpenClaw was the big public moment when suddenly AI agents were a thing, and they actually worked for us. And since then, we've had many iterations, things like Claude Cowork, which came out in January. Google are working on their own version as well. This is what we're going to be seeing over the rest of 2026. Learning how to orchestrate, learning how to build teams of these agents is going to be increasingly important. And that's what we're going to be talking about today in reference specifically to the managed agent platform by Anthropic. I'm going to be showing you how you can get started with it. They have a new graphical user interface version that you can see on the screen here, which makes this much easier than it used to be. We started by prompting. We started by talking to our artificial intelligences. And for a lot of tasks, that's fine. Talking to the AI, getting a response from the AI, maybe copy and pasting its response into a document and going on our way. That's fine for a lot of jobs, but we can do better. We can level up our usage. We're moving more towards the era of agents that use tools. So AIs that go and do the work for us. They do the work. That's the big shift. They process data and start to execute real work in the enterprise. Complementing this, enterprises are often involved from let a thousand flowers bloom approach to adoption to targeted automation efforts applied to specific areas of work and workflow. People have started to work out what to actually use AI for, whereas previously it was like, well, let's do AI, let's give people Claude code accounts, let's see what happens. Now it is, okay, we are starting to lock down on the workflows that we actually want to automate. We're actually going to start using this stuff. We're seeing the benefits of all of the work over the last couple of years. Change management will still remain one of the biggest topics in enterprises. Most workflows aren't set up to just drop agents directly in. We'll talk about this in a moment. You need to build your workflows from the ground up, ideally. And then the thing I wanted to talk about, where was it? I've lost it. Basically, if you are the person who is able to orchestrate agents within your company, or if you're an entrepreneur or you're setting up a business for the first time or a serial entrepreneur, being able to orchestrate agents allows you to have a team at your disposal. So you go from being one individual to being a 10x individual to being 100x because you're able to orchestrate agents. So one individual working with an AI, that's great. You're going to be more productive. We're going to move beyond that. We're going to be looking at how we can set up agents who cover all of our bases so that we can get on with very high leverage work. I'm going to give you a high level survey today. I'm going to show you a tool you can be using, the managed agents interface from Claude. This is new. This only came out a couple of weeks ago, and lots of people have not been into this interface yet. So I'm going to give you a quick tour, and I'm going to show you how you can start to grow the skill of thinking in systems. This comes very naturally for a lot of people, but not for everybody. So that's what we're going to be covering. So prompting to orchestration. We're moving from just chatting to AI to being able to get AI agents to do the work for us and getting a team of them. So that's what orchestration is about. It's about getting multiple agents all working on the same tasks in parallel, checking on each other, coming to a high end result. We've gone from prompting through context engineering, feeding the AI the right projects, files, and memory, to orchestration, designing a system of specialists, managers, and review gates working in parallel. All of these are still fundamentally useful. You still need to know how to prompt. You still need to know how to provide context, and this comes from skills. Now we're moving into this new era where we are using all of this foundational knowledge in order to, somebody is restricting me, in order to build individual agents that work together. So it's just a next step up. So the difference between using AI, as most people use it on a day-to-day basis, and building our own agents, building our own workflows, is the difference between going into a restaurant as a customer, sitting down at a table and being brought your food, or going into the kitchen, supervising the kitchen, building out the kitchen yourself, optimizing the workflows of the kitchen and basically making the best damn restaurant in your city. That's the level that we're moving to. Most people, 99% of people who are using AI are just coming into the restaurant, eating, having a good meal and leaving. Absolutely fine. If you want to take it to the next level, we need to get into the kitchen and start working out how we cook, how we build inside of the kitchen. We're going to be designing the recipes, managing the chefs, defining the tools, setting the rules, and letting the infrastructure run overnight. Anthropic runs the office and you just hire the staff. That is what we are moving towards. A lot of people might already be thinking, you're going to be talking about managed agents, which is this Claude platform, this relatively new platform. What's the difference between this and the other agentic systems out there? So we have things like Cowork. Claude Cowork sits on your desktop and it can control your desktop using computer use. It can navigate to websites. It can fill in forms for you. It can do research. It basically takes over your computer and can work for you. That is an agent, but it is sitting locked in on your computer. Absolutely fine for some jobs, but not helpful if we need something that is always on, always persistent, or scalable. If you've ever tried to get Cowork to do more than one thing at a time, it goes haywire. It does not work. They start running into each other. It will get confused because it's opened a window in one place, and then another kind of sub-agent will bang into that window and be like, oh, what's this doing here? And close it down. It doesn't really work. So it can do sequential tasks. It cannot do them in parallel very well. And it's using your computer. So even if you are on the computer trying to do stuff at the same time, you're going to run into trouble. So unless you have a dedicated computer for it, Claude Cowork is useful, but not very applicable for most situations. Then we have OpenClaw. Everybody knows about OpenClaw. The great thing about OpenClaw is, depending on how you've got it set up, is you're either going to have a dedicated machine like a Mac Mini, or you're going to have it on a VPS, a virtual private server. That means it has its own machine and it's able to work for you persistently. It's also able, through the heartbeat function, to reach out to you proactively. That's something Cowork does not do. So OpenClaw is very good for that reason. I like to think of it as an agent in your chat. So Cowork is an agent on your desktop. OpenClaw is an agent in your chat. So WhatsApp, Slack, Discord, whatever you're using. And it's just a different way of interacting with an agent and allowing it to go off and do tasks for you. Works really well, but we're going to look at the next level, which is a managed agent. Again, we can build them using Claude Console, specifically this new managed agent feature. I'm going to make that a bit larger. There we go. Where we have Quickstart, agents, sessions, environments, credential vaults. I'm going to walk you through how we get started with this in a moment. But the great thing about this is that we can configure an environment. It's going to be working in the cloud for us while we're sleeping. We can have hundreds of these agents. We can start connecting them together, and it is all dealt with in infrastructure. It works 24/7 for us. Obviously, we have to pay for that. It's not cheap, but it allows us to scale up and actually build a business off the back of this. So you're going to be using Anthropic's cloud infrastructure. Access requirements, you need to access the developer's console, which is free. So you can come to platform.claude.com and set that up for free. Before you start working with it, though, you will need to give them a credit card. I think they give you $5 credit as well. That won't last long. It's pretty token heavy, especially if you're using a heavier model. I'm using Sonnet, but it will eat through your tokens, but it will do very good work for you. The great thing about this is it gives us scale, and it gives us the ability to deploy a team of agents. You can do that with OpenClaw. It gets fiddly, and you're going to spend most of your time working on OpenClaw rather than actually doing work. Cowork is locked to one system, and as soon as you do anything in parallel, it just goes to pieces. So managed agents in particular are really good if you're running a business, really good at enterprise level. However, I'm going to be talking about how we as individuals can also use this to both run businesses and in our daily life as well. It's always on. It is persistent. This is very different to when we go to Claude, for example, and we ask a question. Normal use of artificial intelligence through 2025 was us going and invoking the AI answering our question, and then basically shutting down. It did not exist. It did not continue. It did not persist while we were not asking questions. That's changing in 2026 with persistent, always on AIs. So something like this will be in the background doing tasks. You can put them on schedules, check on things. For example, check if there's any new AI news, and you can set that to trigger once an hour, and it will go off and do that for you. Very different from if you are working with a chatbot, which requires you, the human, to come to it in order to invoke and start the process. We're doing something different now. On multi-user scale, this is important if you are building a business. If you build an OpenClaw setup, you can technically give people access to it, but it gets fiddly and complex quickly. Whereas the Claude platform is built for multiple users. You are going to build on their cloud infrastructure, and you'll be able to give access to other people in your team very easily. This allows you to use this for business users. You can do it, but it's just going to be a lot of jumping through hoops. I know there'll be some OpenClaw people telling me how easy it is to do. That's fine. It's because you've spent a lot of time working those things out. It's a lot easier at the business and enterprise level for it just to work out of the box. Yes, you pay more for that, but that's a business expense. This is the huge thing. Something like Cowork. Cowork sits on your desktop and it's fine at doing sequential serial operations. One thing at a time. It does A, then B, then C, then D. As soon as it starts to do multiple things at the same time, it trips over itself because it is one agent running a task in one environment, your PC. Instead, what we're going to be doing is setting up parallel processing. We'll have multiple agents in their own environments, all doing their own things, and then reporting back to each other, checking on each other's results. We set up everything like we were building a team, so people aren't running into each other. Another way to think about this is GitHub. If you've used GitHub before, you're able to branch off work and then bring it all together. We're going to be doing something similar. Okay, let's get access to this. It is a lot easier than it used to be. So it used to be you have to use the agent SDK. Let me pull that up. And like all Claude documentations, you'd come on here and you'd be like, oh my God. You'd come to the Quickstart and it would say, okay, you need Node, that's fine. Okay, we're going to make a directory. We're going to install the SDK, get the API key. Then we're going to create a buggy file. This used to be how we had to do it, which if you're a developer, is relatively simple. You just go through, copy, paste all of this stuff, drop it into your terminal, press enter. So it's not that hard. But this looks confusing, and if you are not technical and you come to this for the first time, I do not blame you if you're like, absolutely not, I can't do this. This is too technical. So what they've released as of a couple of weeks ago is the managed agent platform. So you're going to come to platform.claude.com. This is different to claude.com or claude.ai. That is the consumer-facing chatbot. You're going to come in and use the developer platform. So it's platform.claude.com. It looks like this. And you're going to come down to here on the left-hand side and you'll find managed agents. Then you're going to click on Quickstart. And Quickstart is fantastic because this is a chat window. This is like using Claude. This is much, much simpler than anything to do with the API documentation, to do with the SDK, to do with the command line interface. We're going to skip all of this and use this nice new version that they have created. Okay, we're going to generate an API key also in Claude Console. It might generate one for you automatically. I've already got one, but you will go ahead and create one. You can do it down here and manage API keys. You can set your limits. Then you're going to have to put some money on it. You'll need to preload $5 minimum. Cost-wise, it's going to be your API costs, which are not cheap. Claude API is not cheap, but it's very, very good. And there's a small cost for each hour of using their cloud service as well. As long as your agent is running, I think it's about 8 cents an hour. It's not very expensive, but do be aware of that. I'll check that in a moment. So you set up your payment, and then you're going to come into Managed Agents Quickstart here. And you literally have a what do you want to build panel, as well as a bunch of templates: deep researcher, structured extractor, support agent, incident commander, feedback miner, etc. Notice that these are primarily enterprise and business focused. So what I might want, let's make an agent. What do we want to create? We could create a lead scorer. So every time somebody enters my newsletter, I could chuck their email address into an agent and do some research into them, their company, pull up their LinkedIn, pull up their Apollo, find out their seniority, etc., and then use it as a lead tool in order to reach out to them. That's not really part of my business, but just as an example. What else could we build? We could do a news scraper, just something that finds the news every single day. Let's see, what else do we have? Most of the time, the stuff that's going to be really useful is the boring stuff like structured extractors. The ability to give a tool like this 50,000 PDFs of unstructured information and have it pull out the relevant information and put it in a JSON. That's the kind of stuff that's really valuable here, but it's also very boring. But the boring stuff is pretty good. Let's see if they have anything exciting like social media. No, they do not. What should we do? Okay, I want to build an AI news scraper tool that delivers to me every morning at 8 a.m. a summary of the latest news. The AI sphere use Twitter as a primary source. I'm just going to give it an instruction like this. You might want to start in Claude code or Claude itself to come up with a specification of what you want to build and then bring that over into the agent system. I'm just going to keep it simple for now. So you can see on the right hand side, it has created a JSON and a YAML version of this. Very simple. It's got name, description, model, system, MCP servers are blank at the moment. Tools, it's got this agent tool set, and skills is blank at the moment. So these are things we can add to our agent later, but this is just a basic version. I'm going to click create. There we go. It's created the agent. Agent created. It's a reusable versioned configuration that doesn't run on its own. You spin up sessions from it each time you want a briefing. Twitter/X does not have a public MCP, so the agent will use its built-in web search and web fetch tools to pull AI news from Twitter. That probably won't work, but for the purpose of this demonstration, that's fine. For a true automated 8 a.m. delivery, you'll wire up a scheduler, cron job, GitHub Actions, etc. We can ask it how we do that, and it will tell us to trigger a session each morning. We'll cover that in the integration steps. It's jumping ahead. The next one is configuring the environment. I'm going to click this and zoom out. So it said, would you like to reuse your existing environment or create a new one? I've got other ones for other tools. I'm going to say create a new one. So we're doing a clean version, and it's going to create a sandboxed environment, kind of walled off computer for me, a little space on a computer where my agent is going to sit and live in this environment from now on. There we go. Environment is now ready. Your agent can now reach Twitter, news sites, and anything else on the web. Start session. So it's going to, should open up a session on the right-hand side. It started the session in my environment. Now I'll do a test run. On the right-hand side, we have the ability to trigger my agent. You might be thinking, well, I can do this in Claude. Remember that this is going to live persistently inside of a little sandboxed environment, connect to the internet, use your tools, use MCP, and work on a schedule. So I'm going to click. I don't think this one will actually work because it's going to run into problems getting the Twitter feed. So I'd have to use a different tool to get Twitter. For the demonstration, I just want to show you how easy it is to set up agents. You can see on the right-hand side, the log, session running, user, generate my morning AI news briefing, my prompt, model request started, and then it is going through. This is the debug log. You can see how many seconds it takes. It's still running apparently. How many tokens in and out. It doesn't have the price here, but this will probably be costing me, this will probably be 10p, 20p, just for running the agent once. I have the feeling it would be something like that. What's happened? Is it stuck? Come on, Claude, don't let me down. That's interesting. It's done a web search for GPT-6 launch. Have I missed something? Why is it talking about GPT-6? That'd be amazing if it found that out for me. But you can see everything running in the background like this. This is all in the developer console. This is stuff that you won't need to see once you have set up and integrated your agent. You'll be able to trigger it however you want. So potentially it's going to be on a cron job, basically on a timer, and it will run every hour, every day, every week, however often you want your task to run. Or you can set it up so you can trigger it via a web page. You can trigger it via software. You can set it up so you can trigger it via WhatsApp or connect it to other agents that trigger its actions. So this is when we need to start thinking in terms of systems. How do we start to orchestrate? How do we start to put together these AI agents? I'm going to stop that session because I'm not sure what's happening. But that is the basics. The run look clean. Here we go. And it's telling me there's a few things you might want to tune and different ways to improve your agent. So because we have this chat panel here, we can run versions, we can run our agent. It can see how that agent ran. It can see the logs. It can see any errors it runs into. Plus, it can talk to me and say, okay, let's work out how we can make this better. Any tweaks before we move on to integration? We might want to expand Twitter coverage, add more sources. Maybe I want to add RSS feeds. Maybe I want to add newsletters. And then we can work back and forward inside of this interface. This is something that tripped me up. If you leave this interface, it's quite hard to get back into it. You need to come to agents. You find the agent that you're building. You click on it. If you click the burger menu or the three dots here, there's guided edit. So you can edit it manually. If you click on this guided edit here, guided edit will take you back into a tool where you can chat to it and provide feedback. So we can do it through a GUI, we can do it through a chat interface, much easier. It also has these built-in ones like improve the system prompt, find skills and tools, refine the personality, etc. Very cool and simple to use. And I don't see many people talking about the manager agent interface because it's a little bit more technical. Once you know about this Quickstart guided edit interface, then it is pretty much just talking to Claude and it will do all of the work for you. So don't sleep on this. Very cool. The anatomy of what we're building here. In the middle is Claude. That is the model. The large language model is going to be Claude Sonnet, Claude Opus. You're probably going to use Claude Sonnet unless you're doing a very high-end task. You might even use Claude Haiku because it's cheaper. So that is the brain sitting at the middle. It's not cheap because you're going to be using the Anthropic API, but it is the best in class. Then around it, you have something called a sandbox. As you saw when we set up the environment, we have a little environment here, which is a cloud environment. It's basically a little mini section of a computer sitting on Anthropic servers, which has been set up just for you and just for your agents to run. You could have multiple agents in one environment if you want. So that means you have this little server that is working just for you, which allows it to work even when you're sleeping, even when your devices are off. This cloud computer can continue to do the work for you, no problem. So that is the sandbox. It's also walled off. So you get to decide what comes in and out. You get to secure that sandbox to make sure that your agent can't go rogue and start posting things on your social media, for example. You can say, no, you do not have permissions to post to Twitter for me. It also protects it from external attack as well. So we're using Anthropic and we're using their security to secure our agents. And then we have things like tools, MCP, and skills. All of the things that we use within the Anthropic ecosystem, skills files, skills.md, MCP servers to connect to other tools. What else do we have? Plugins, all of that stuff we can use within our agent. So all of the learning that you've done with Claude and Anthropic and that ecosystem is applicable inside of your agent as well. So very cool. I'm not going to talk about this. This is how you manage multiple agents. The basic idea is that if you have, let's say you're running a company and you want to build agents, you'd build sub-agents for each task. And then you could have a manager agent which oversees all of these sub-agents, and it can look at their work, check their work, see if it is sufficient, and then tell those sub-agents if it is or not. If it is not, it will say, this is not good enough, you need to go back and redo that work. The sub-agent will redo the work, feed that information back up to the manager, and we can have this loop going on and on until the manager decides, okay, this work is sufficiently good, I'm going to pass it to the human. So what we're doing here is management. It is setting up systems and management structures which replicate human teams. So if you are a manager, if you have led teams of people before, those skills are directly applicable into creating your agents. So we make the agents one at a time, but if you put multiple agents into an environment, you can have them manage each other. So you would create an agent. I want a manager agent that will oversee, and give the names of the other sub-agents. And then I would work with Claude to work out what that management looks like. So this is us abstracting it out from simply prompting, from simply giving context. And we're doing something bigger. We are building teams of agents. And that comes from systems thinking and the management skills. This is a very different skill set to the engineering of individual agents or the use of AI on a daily basis. So very, very cool stuff. In terms of how you hone that skill, some people naturally think in terms of systems. Other people are more detail oriented and they're very good at individual tasks. Engineers, for example, need to be able to do both. They need to be able to look at the detail and work out the minutiae of a particular problem, but also think in a much larger scale about how everything works together. But we are all kind of built differently. Some of us really like detail and some of us prefer the big picture. Me, personally, I like the big picture, and as soon as there's anything too detail oriented, I lose interest and I drop the ball. So I'm very good at building businesses kind of from a larger, more abstract, but when it comes to the everyday running of that business, that is not really for me. But we're all different. If you want to learn and practice the systems thinking brain, there's a couple of ways you can do it. There are some video games out there that will help you practice this muscle. Specifically things like Factorio. If you have ADHD, then stay away from this. But Factorio is a factory building game. It's a video game, but it basically teaches you supply chains and supply chain logistics. It will train your brain to think in terms of systems. Another one is Satisfactory. Satisfactory, which is a 3D version. It's about building supply chains, logistics, setting up gigantic systems. One of these games would help you train this way of thinking about larger systems and how modules fit together and how inputs are processed, how they output into another system. It will get you that intuitive grasp of systems thinking in a way that reading books or studying this stuff at an MBA course probably won't. If you want to learn more about the theory, there's a book called Thinking in Systems by Donella Meadows. You've probably seen this cover. Thinking in Systems, a primer by Donella H. Meadows. This is considered the book on systems thinking, so definitely have a look at that. And then there are lots of courses. So if I go to Skilljar, here we go. Introduction to Sub-Agents and Introduction to Agent Skills are worth looking at within the Anthropic training. And then the Anthropic blog also has Scaling Managed Agents, a lot of resources as well. This is a very new article. I think this is yesterday. So this is Scaling Managed Agents, decoupling the brain from the hands, basically building the skill of not doing the work yourself, getting yourself out of the damn way so that the agents can do the work for you. Harnesses encode assumptions that go stale as models improved. Managed agents are hosted service. Horizon agent work is built around interfaces that stay stable as harnesses change. Using these tools for the long run. Blogs like this can help you elevate your understanding. But honestly, start by playing a game like Factorio or maybe SimCity. But Factorio in particular will teach you systems thinking in a incredibly intuitive way. It will also take over your life if your brain is triggered in that way. But hey, consider it an education. So this stuff is important not just for enterprises. If you learn these skills, yes, 100%, you'll be able to go and get a job at a large company and do very, very well integrating orchestrated agent systems into companies. This is going to be a huge boom industry for the next couple of years. But for you as an individual, you can also do this stuff. This is available for you as well as for gigantic Fortune 500 companies. You can get in here and build agents yourself. So you can either do that personally in order to create personal productivity systems, help you build businesses. There's a couple of ways that can happen. First, you can build these agents into your products. If you're providing a SaaS product, software as a service, and there are a certain set of processes, I'm doing a company formation right now because I've just moved to Cyprus. Let's say I wanted to create an agent that did company formation. It doesn't have to be in Cyprus, it could be anywhere. What I could do is I could build an agent that collects all the documents from the individual who is applying to set up a company and then processes them all through an agent system. It looks for anything that is missing. If anything is missing, it writes back to the individual. It processes and compiles everything to be sent off to the authorities. That is something that I'm currently paying a couple of €1,000 for a person to do for me here in Cyprus. That is something that could very easily be done by an agent with a person at the end doing the double checks. So you would use this managed agent platform as the brain inside of your business. On the front end, you'd have a website, you'd have an app which collects that information. Once that information is brought in, it goes through the series of agents, it checks quality assurance, and then it spits out a document at the end which will have all of the information all compiled for the human to check and then send off to the regulated authorities. The actual work is done by the agent. So you can build products like this and you can use these platforms. So you're not building on your computer, you're not even building on a server, you're building on a cloud environment provided by Anthropic, which is going to be able to scale. It's going to be able to deal with changes in the model, changes in the harnesses, really, really simply. This is much more of a stable foundation from which to build a business than Cowork, than OpenClaw. This is the big boy stuff. The other way you can use it inside your business is use it for operations. When you're running your own business, yes, a lot of it is building the product, but more of it is the day-to-day operations of bookkeeping, marketing, customer acquisition, sales. You can build agents to help you run those parts of the businesses as well. If you manage to do that for your one-person business, you should probably start doing that for other people and consulting because there's good money to be made here. I think the top usage for us as individuals and the people who are building businesses is to use this platform as the brains inside of whatever products we're building. And I think there's a really big opportunity right now because most people are still building all of these things very manually. whereas manage agents is being slept on. Not many people are using it right now, so you can use that as an advantage over the next year or so. Hopefully that was useful, because orchestration and agents is complex. It's the next step up. We start with prompting, we go to context engineering, then we go up to orchestration. Orchestration got a lot simpler though because of this manage agent and this Quickstart functionality. But most people haven't realized that it's become easier, which means when other people are confused and scared, that's fantastic for us because we're going to learn the skill and be able to use that in our business. So do not sleep on this. Again, it's at platform.claude.com, and then it's manage agents. You can see it's even got the new sticker here because it is so new, and then just get started. You'll be able to do it inside of here. Fantastic. Hopefully that's been useful. If you are not already subscribed, make sure you come to aiwithkyle.com. You can click on join the community, and that'll give you access to a bunch of free courses, the community, catalog of about 100 playbooks, and just a whole bunch more stuff. So that is at aiwithkyle.com. Hopefully that's been useful. Everything is available in the newsletter. If you go to aiwithkyle.com, you'll be able to get newsletter. I'll show you what it looks like. So yesterday we covered Mythos, and inside the newsletter you can get the written summary, including the tweets I referenced, the documents I talked about, the model card, etc. It's all available in the newsletter if you want a written summary. And the cleaned up version of the live also goes onto YouTube as well. So that is the cleaned up version. All of that's going to be available in the newsletter if you sign up at aiwithkyle.com. It's totally free. That's the best place to keep up to date without having to come to the lives, which are going to be every morning. Speaking of which, I probably won't be doing a live. I've just moved country, and there we're getting the place plastered. So probably no live stream, but I'll be back on Thursday. Thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you on Thursday.